If you're selling a house with tenants in Ontario, then I want to share with you the worst mistakes I see landlords make all the time. My name's Daniel Hale. I'm a real estate agent and I help a ton of landlords sell tenanted properties in Ontario. So if that's you, give me a call. But I want to share with you the worst mistakes that I see all the time. And I feel like I've seen pretty much everything at this point. Now the first one is guaranteeing vacant possession. This one I see all the time, and in Ontario, I hate to say it, but you cannot guarantee vacant possession on a specific date. So what I see landlords do, they sell their property, they tell the buyer, we're gonna give you vacant possession on this date, which could be 60 days, whatever that is, and then the tenant ends up not moving out. And that causes litigation issues between you, the seller, and the buyer. Things can get nasty. It can cost you a lot of money, stress, headache, and issues. It's not a good thing. So make sure you do not guarantee vacant possession on a specific date unless the tenant gives you notice to move out and you know for sure they're moving out. But even then, I'd probably have it conditional upon them actually leaving on that date to make sure that it is happening. The next mistake, another big one, not having the correct clauses in the agreement of purchase and sale. For example, if you're selling the property to a buyer for their personal use, they want to move in. That needs to be in the agreement of purchase and sale. It needs to state that it's for the buyer's personal use. And you also need to have something in that agreement stating that the buyer is giving you direction to serve the proper notices to the tenant for his personal use. Just in case anything comes back to you later where you do actually evict this tenant for that buyer's personal use, the tenant moves out, and then you find out that buyer ended up taking possession and he rented the property out. Now the tenant comes back super upset because in Ontario, you can only evict a tenant for the buyer's personal use for them to move into the property, and they have to stay there for a period of 1 year. If they rent it out before that period or after they take possession, it's deemed as an unlawful eviction. Now, if you have the correct notices in the agreement of purchase and sale, the landlord and tenant board will throw it out against you as the seller because obviously you didn't know that the buyer was lying, and you can show proof in your agreement of purchase and sale that that's what he told you, which would then direct the landlord and tenant board and the tenant to actually go after that buyer and not you. So there's a lot of things that need to be in the agreement of purchase and sale, and these are big mistakes that landlords make all the time by not putting the correct things in that agreement of purchase and sale. Now the next big mistake, couple parts to this, is not serving the correct notice to the tenant when somebody does purchase the property. For a buyer's personal use, you need to serve an N11 Notice of Eviction. Now, that notice is delivered to the tenant, and it also needs to be delivered to the landlord and tenant board. This is a huge mistake I see happen all the time. Landlords will sell their property, they'll give the N12 Notice of Eviction to the tenant, but they will not serve it and file it to the landlord and tenant board. Then they just hope the tenant leaves within that 60 days. And if the tenant doesn't, now you're stuck without a hearing date because you didn't file it to the Ontario Landlord and Tenant Board. So the tenant just kicks his feet up, says there's no date, nothing going on, I'm just gonna stay. Now you might be thinking, I have the nicest tenants on the planet, they're never gonna do that. I've seen this happen where tenants just flip the switch, they're super nice, but when they find out that you're selling, everything changes. So no matter how nice of a tenant you have, follow the correct steps, make sure you do it right. If you serve a notice to the tenant, make sure it's the correct one, and also file it to the landlord and tenant board. Get a hearing date. Now you could also do an N11 if the tenant agrees on this. This is a notice to end the tenancy amongst the landlord and the tenant. Usually this comes in the form of cash for keys where you pay the tenant to give the keys back. And I have seen this happen, but the thing is, I've also seen it happen where tenants ask for a crazy amount of money. $30,000, $40,000, even $50,000. Seen it all. Make sure if they do try to squeeze you for this, the answer is no. You work with the buyer, you get a hearing date, and you serve the proper notice. But I have seen it where tenants will ask for first and last month's rent compensation to help with a new place. This is totally acceptable. Something to help them out, Make sure they have an easy transition. After all, you're selling the house. You want it to be easy and stress-free for you too. So the N11 is another option if you guys can negotiate this. Now, the next mistake that I want to talk to you guys about that I see landlords make all the time is hiring a real estate agent to just sell the house for them while it's tenanted and not even know if that real estate agent sold tenanted properties before or has any experience doing it. Do not hire a real estate agent that's never sold a tenanted property, because they can actually be the reason why you get sued if they don't know the landlord and tenant board laws. They might do something like not put the proper clauses in the agreement of purchase and sale. They might guarantee vacant possession, not send proper notice to the tenants, not deliver proper notice to the tenants. If you're selling a tenanted property anywhere in Ontario, I've done this many, many times. Shoot me an email, send me a text, or give me a call, and I'd be happy to help navigate you guys through this process stress-free.